What's up? mAng and Neads show. How's everybody doing today? Sonic Garden Radio.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Sonic Garden Radio, mAng and Neads show. Here at our main desk, coming in hot, Mr. Joshua Needham.
How we doing today? How's everything out there in the world from you? I hope you're practicing a little social distancing still.
Social distancing. See, like, I was got into another a website that I think everybody should check out. That is called covidactnow.org, and this one basically is the doom of what's really happening here, and I just don't understand why this stuff doesn't get out easier. But yeah, man, we so let me pull this up. This here, let me show you guys. So what you're looking at here is on this covidact.now or covidactnow.org, and this thing is a timeline as well as what the scenarios are of our situation, and why we're doing this social distancing and what we're hoping to achieve. And if you look at this dealio here, you'll see this black line, and this black line is hospital beds available, and this is specifically for New York State. And as you can see, you're talking right, right now we're looking at there's 23,000 beds available, and then as we grow, they're going to be able to build more. We're going to get up into May, we'll have 43,000 beds, just the whole anyway. So limited action, by doing nothing, then we are going to skyrocket in over 400,000 cases and hospitalizations expected by April 12th. And this is going to severely impact hospital beds, ventilators, and staff to help people, and that's what's going to end up killing everyone.
Well, FEMA is sending 400, which doesn't do dick because they need like over 30,000 today. I heard them talking about that this morning. The great Andrew Cuomo, actually, he was talking about how, FEMA's stepping in, but they're stepping in and sending 400. He wanted to know what he's supposed to do with 400 when you need 30,000 at least.
So number two is, if we go through 3 months of social distancing, which we are 1 week in, this is day number 9 of the lockdown, and 3 months of social distancing, we are still going to exceed hospital bed availability for a long duration of time. It's going to reduce the hospitalizations, where it looks like the peak is going to be about 170,000 hospitalizations by April 27th. Now, the only way to get it below this hospital bed line is going to be 3 months of shelter in place, and that is no contact anywhere to reduce the cases.
Now that's not that shelter in place that they're talking about is like if we did it like South Korea or China did it there for a while, but now they're starting to. All right, so Hong Kong, I believe, did it, and then they started letting people back into it, and then it started breaking out a bit again. So but they didn't do it for as long. But the whole it's the shelter in place is more of a lockdown where nobody goes to do essential anything. Um, and that's how they were stopping the spread in China. Like you weren't allowed to leave your house.
Right, and that's what
Not go to
that's the Wuhan style, which would get us down to about 2% infected, and hospitals would not become overloaded, and there would probably be about 4,000 deaths.
Well, when a hospital becomes...
This is New York State, too.
Right, but when a hospital becomes overloaded, then you have to start picking and choosing who you're going to fucking save, which you
and
never
that's
want
what's
to
going
get
on
to
in
that.
Italy. I'm going to pull up that video, too, because I think it's important.
Yeah,
that
you
everybody
never
watch
want to
this.
get to that. And not only are you picking and choosing about patients coming in for that, there's so many other things happening in our country, in our state, that are health issues that don't have to do with that you might need to take a trip to the hospital, but there's nowhere for you if you do, like heart attacks, everything, car accidents, gunshots. It's just it's gonna overwhelm them, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's like I hate to be like the gloom and doom on it, but without people really listening to what's going on and getting on board with what we're trying to do, I just don't see how it's not gonna be awful.
So if you do this, what we've been doing, the social distancing and stuff, but soon as you start letting people get right back to activities, like if we start in a week or two to get back to normal activities, it's just gonna spread like fucking wildfire again. Like, and then this is basically null and void what we've been doing to try to stop it.
Right.
So
it's scary. The clip the part that I have in here is just to is to break down this graph to explain it in numbers and
what do you got
to
for
say
us
it
right
more.
now?
So if you scroll down on that New York State, I'm not sure if you're looking at it, but if you scroll down, you'll see just the breakdown, and it says the scenario is if we do no action, over 70% of the people are going to become completely infected. The hospitals are going to be completely overloaded by Friday, March 27th, and there's going to be about 392,000 deaths. And just to say, this is not just gloom and doom from somebody. This is endorsed by hundreds of doctors and people in the medical field
That know what they're talking
about. Again, it's covidactnow.org. And again, everyone in whatever state you're from, you should be clicking on your state and looking at your point of no return. And in New York State, we have missed that point of no return. 3 months of social distancing is also going to impact about 70%. And the hospital estimated date hospitals are overloaded is going to be Friday, April 3rd. And see, that's a little confusing because how is no action going to overload them later? Oh, that's when it will be its maximum overload.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It'll be maximum, to the fucking tilt.
It'll be till the till. It's going to rise till it hits a peak in March 27th. Okay, I got that. So no action is going to infect 70% of the people, and there's going to be over 400,000 deaths, and that is over 1%
so
of
did
the
you read,
American population, and that is not a joke.
Did you read the little like paragraph there about the quote there?
The asterisks?
Yeah, but
second spike?
No, the endorsements. It says while no projection is perfect, we endorse this tool and model as a valid and important way to frame the decisions political leaders must make now.
Yes.
So that's like a cry for help because and like you said, these are all doctors. There's a ton of them. And they all have something, you know what I mean? They all chime in.
And it's actually ridiculous that we're even like trying to debate whether or not this is valid or important.
Oh,
and
it's crazy.
It shows the division that we have in our society over just the slightest comment from our leader. And
they're worried about money first, obviously, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. From what I heard him say yesterday, like they're just worried about money. Some of us don't want to lose our parents or I don't have any grandparents
especially
anymore,
this way, because honestly, after everything we've been through in our lives, from even childhood and the the lies that we've encountered from our leaders in our society, and everything, man, everything you look at, it was like a lie coming up.
Right.
And to think that that's how our generation ends, is that we're the ones that decide to whack off our parents.
Right.
No pun intended on that.
Right. Yeah.
Motherfuckers. That's all I got to say. So continuing with this thing, 3 months of social distancing is going to be over 70% still infected. So social distancing is not enough in the state of New York. That's a fact. And by the hospitals will be overloaded by and reach its peak in April 3rd, which is coming up, and there'll be over 292,000 deaths.
I think we should take a look at because I was Louisiana. Go down to Louisiana. They've just done a shelter in place because their death toll is starting to rise pretty quick, like in the last couple days and stuff.
So 3 months of shelter in place is where we just stay home, but we go out to the store. We continue to do the things that we have to do, and everybody working is still in the working world, and going around gas stations, driving cars, whatever the case is. Truck drivers, hospital workers, grocery store, all these people. We're still going to have 23% of the people infected. It seems that we will be able to maintain the hospital beds, but we will still have 50,000 deaths.
So I went and looked at Louisiana here, and now if they take no action, which they already have, they sheltered in place. So even with the shelter in place, like they're estimated to have over 8,000 deaths, which is quite a bit, don't you think? Like, I don't know their exact population down there, but still, man, that's quite a lot of death. Yeah, if you do that the Wuhan style, man, the hospital, it don't matter. Like I've only clicked on a couple states, but the hospitals aren't going to get overloaded, and your death's going to be maybe a little greater than 1,000, maybe. This is in a 3-month period. 3 months. I don't know, man. It's crazy. And we're like New York State's like it's like the hotbed for it, man. And they're starting to lock everything. Like they're starting to shelter everything in place right around us. PA, looks like Rhode Island, New Jersey. What's that? Connecticut.
Yeah, all the
what do you think?
All these greens are shelter in place.
Right.
The orange are just doing social distancing currently. Voluntary.
Even Hawaii sheltered in place.
Yeah.
What's it? New Mexico sheltered in place.
So those are the ones, but it looks like, this is a new one. It looks like North Dakota implemented some social distancing.
All right. And you got a lot of still people are limited action still, and that's not like you go out here to what do you got? South Dakota is limited action, and it just.
So their point of no return is April 13th.
Right.
And they're gonna start having an overload in the hospitals, which is gonna continue to get everybody sick, including the hospital workers, and they're gonna start losing the ability. We're really in a crisis right now where all the politics aside of whatever you believe about politics, this is a time where the government needs to step in and make this happen. This is extreme wartime. This is like doesn't get much worse than this in a way. I can't see other than getting just a bomb dropped on us and having it be over in 1 second. This is gonna drag out, and we're gonna have to deal with it. Man, some scary stuff. So the other another thing I want to share is a video from some doctors and healthcare workers in Italy, and basically right along the line of what we're saying here, it's a warning to everyone, and I think we just need to heed this, man.
Take warning,
Can't
man.
believe it. Take warning. Take the warning. Everybody needs to stay home.
Yeah.
Need to limit your contact with anyone.
That's the best plan of action right there.
Yeah,
We have been practicing social distancing.
we have. So there, you know,
I won't
There are
get,
major things like the other one that just is really scary is that it's like I said, I woke up this morning and I swear to God, it's like I don't know if these people are off of work, but all of a sudden it's like the new line for the Trump defenders are just to antagonize everybody for every, you know, just like constantly poking at it. It's like, what is the sense?
They're
It's like
doing
everybody
that.
is professional internet trolls now.
and then they're
full.
bashing Andrew Cuomo for how he's handling it, which he looks to be handling it the best he can with what he's got for support. You know what I mean? He's only got so
My
much.
only issue in all that is he should have acted as well 2 weeks ago. It seems to me that
But
you
I
know,
just-
I'm looking at this one map for the first time.
They tried to do a lot, but they didn't. There's a money issue too.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you can only do so. He can only do so much with money he's allocated, right? Don't you think? Like he needs money from the government, which ultimately comes from the president and those guys saying yes, you can do this or yet, right? Like he's got to answer to somebody. He just not. He just can't pull money out of his thin air. You would think, right? You're listening to the mAng and Neads show, Sonic Garden Radio.
Yeah, Sonic
So-
Gardens Radio. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you, Josh. I was just trying to find this video here.
Yeah, I wanna.
So hey, we're looking to get 1,000 subscribers too.
That'd be cool.
To remind you guys, if you could hit that subscribe button and like, you know, what we're doing. Hey man, we don't know anything. We don't really claim that we know anything, but you know, we're reading the lines and in between the lines and the lines, and this is not good. This is not good.
Right.
We're
It's
gonna
not at
be-
all.
And we need to stand up. Man, I can't find the one I was like quite looking for. Yeah, but I will find it.
We will get that to you.
Yeah.
Like I just don't like so. Like all this about like they're worried about the economy and stuff, and I get all that, but like, is that really our whole purpose on being? Is like we just came here to make money and make the country big. You know what I mean? Like what's our purpose? Like honeybees and stuff like that. They have a purpose, and you know that. Like you know what I mean? Like pollinate stuff, honey and all that. They they pollinate almond trees and shit like that. But like, what's our, you know what I mean? Our fucking main purpose is just to make money. That's not how it is, right? What do you have?
We all have to determine what is important in our lives, and like I said, can we go on in this life knowing that our desire to continue the wheel and turn this wheel for the benefit of what? So that certain businesses that weren't prepared don't shut down, or businesses that you know, it just, to me, they're going against their own game.
Right.
They're going against their own game, which says in this world, if you have a supply and a demand and you can continue to make good decisions as a business, you will grow and you will achieve and all this stuff. Well, if they can't make it right now in this circumstance, then they can't make it. And who are we protecting? Who are we putting above specifically? What are we putting? You know, because we all want to go shopping at the mall. Like that's what this is about. It's about the mall. It's about I just don't get it, man.
And they want to save, like, I heard them talking about saving, like, Boeing because they had to shut down their plant, and they're worried about them, and they're worried about these big, you know what I mean? Like, figure it out. Like, you didn't make that much money and get that big not knowing what the hell you were doing at some point. Like, if you're worried about that, like, you can figure it out. So they're going to bail them out, but they're going to let you and her and them suffer and, like, maybe get kicked out of their house when this is all done. I don't know. It's all fucked up, I guess. But yeah.
It is.
Did you find that?
Damn, there ends up being so many, and it's just like I said, it's the one that I saw. I liked what they were saying, because they basically are explaining that they're running the beds. It's not even the disease that's killing people. It's the inability to treat them.
Right. And they're all and they're worried about ventilators too, because you're gonna come a point when you can't breathe if you got this bad enough, especially if you're older. And if they don't have anything to hook you up to, I saw that they're able to run. They got like a splitter type deal where they can use two ventilators, one ventilator on two people, and they're doing that now. But that's not, you know what I mean? That can only go so far.
Yeah.
So yeah. What else you got for me?
I don't know.
Oh, well, that's unbelievable. Mang and Neads show.
Mang Needs show.
I'm Neads. He's Mang. This is Sonic Garden Radio.
That's right.
If you're bored, tell your friend. Maybe they can subscribe.
Sit in on this.
Yeah, don't. We have a phone number too.
Oh yeah. It's actually scrolling along the bottom.
It is
607-373-HEAT. Heat. If you want to call in and just give your opinion of what's going on.
You can chat.
Yeah, you can chat.
You can ask some questions. We would love to answer some questions. If you want our opinions on
phone
something.
lines are open. Sonic Gardens Radio. Mang and Needs show.
Mang and Needs.
So we did have a big shaka party planned for this weekend.
Oh no!
A long time ago, and
but since we're cool,
we are not
having
be doing that.
Because you know what? Common sense came in. And we are practicing social distancing still down here. And you can't do that at a party and have an effective party. Right, sir?
That's right.
Well, I think it's time for you to pull up the map for us so we could take a look at the map today, since we haven't took a look at the map today.
Right? John Hopkins map?
Oh, yes, the John Hopkins map.
Yeah, let's
We need to take a look
up.
at that son of a bitch. We have to have a look. Because shit's getting real some places. Stuff's climbing, and it's not a good thing for it to be climbing. Well, so worldwide, you got 407,485 total confirmed cases. Shit's getting out of hand.
Yes.
Total deaths. We got 18,227 total deaths. Yeah. Total recovered. Would you like the total recovered? 104,234 people. All right. So I'll say it again. 104,234 people have totally recovered now out of 407,485. So
about 300,000 outstanding currently in the world.
And yes, this is the world. And 18,227 have died. So
we're still at 0 recovered in U.S.
Yeah, we are.
And there has been 600 deaths, which is
that's up, right?
That's definitely up. 50,000 cases. Yeah, man.
50,000. Spain's rising like a son of a bitch too. I gotta pull up my other map, my other thing. I like that one. It tells you how many we've gone in a day and stuff.
Yeah, it's yesterday was 10,600
Really?
cases. As of I'm sorry, that was 322. I think we're 2 day off or something. Man. Spain. It's got 10% recovered. About a little less than that dead.
Really? Sure. Yeah, closed, man. So worldwide there's 285,000 active cases that haven't recovered, passed away. So it's a big number. You know what I mean? A lot can change in that. You know what I mean? You could go either way.
We can't stress enough how this lockdown is a necessity.
I mean, if you have to go out, just stay the fuck away from people. Plain and simple. You see somebody in a grocery store, head the other way, flip around, wear some gloves, wear a mask. I mean, I'm not wearing my mask right now. I got it. I'm not wearing it right now, but I'm not. I'm out here. He's in a whole different another room area.
It's your desk. Nobody else has been at that.
Yeah, no one's been at this desk. I've sprayed it down. I've wiped everything. I've been wiping the mic.
We're just keeping
my
people
headphones.
Keeping people out. We love everybody out there. That's why we want you guys to just call in. Let us know how you're doing.
Man, there's 7,126 new cases in the U.S. since yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a jump, right? Wouldn't you think?
Like I said, you go back to this other one, and you're going to see a jump. This isn't even the right map.
Yeah, we're like
we're fucked.
Yeah, but
New
Italy,
York is in bad shape.
So USA had, like I just said, 7,126 new cases since yesterday. Spain's got 4,540 since yesterday. Italy has got 5,249 since yesterday. Germany 3,725 since yesterday. Like, we're in the lead, and we don't want to be. It's just like, oh. Fucking Italy had 743 deaths since yesterday. Like, it's not
you
good,
can almost excuse me.
Yeah.
Had a little cough there.
Yeah, he does.
Just a little itch in my throat.
Yeah, he's starting to show
serious.
signs.
Nothing
We're
serious.
gonna take his temperature here. We got the thermometer out.
It's
butt thermometer. But what were you gonna say? Sorry about cutting.
That's
you off,
it, man. I didn't
heard you
know.
choking
No,
in there. I didn't want you to.
I don't know. I yeah.
All right.
Yeah, here we are the next day. So they are it looks like, like for a while now it has been leveled out in China. But I'm just curious, are they still under like a lockdown, or are they letting people out? Like, what's their expectation that it's going to jump back up? Like, what's the deal?
Well, what I did read about the USA is that on April 12th, that's the Easter holiday, I believe, Trump would like our country to be back open.
Okay, well,
which is a terrible idea.
Well, here's the thing. Between now and then,
yeah,
is when we're going to see the overload. In fact, what did he say, April 12th?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so messed up, because that is the peak.
He wants to be open by then.
That is like supposed to be the peak. So that's what he's going off of. He's seriously looking at the 4 options and saying to himself, what's the one that gets us? Oh man.
And
you look at this go back to that Coronavirus Act Now page.
So I see,
and literally April 12th is going to be 426,000 hospitalizations, right?
Yeah.
And then he's going to say everybody just needs to get back to work, because now everybody's been infected that's going to be, and supposedly it's
But
going to
that's
start
not how
dropping
it works.
down.
Because
No,
then
it's
in the
the
same breath, he's saying, "Oh, out in the Midwest, or whatever, it's not that bad as it is in New York, whatever." Well, if you let these people back into population, they're just going to infect more people, and it's going to make its way across there. It made its way from
truck
China
drivers,
to here.
the truck drivers,
Come on.
everybody.
Think about it. It made
The
its way from
products.
fucking China here. You don't think it's going to spread across the USA? Fucking A. Helen Keller could see that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. This
Like, come on.
that just like looking at those dates, like seriously, that's what I'm saying. Is he's like this basically we are operating as a country under limited action.
Like, he wants all this stuff to go back to business, but you know what? He's in that fucking White House. He don't have to. He could choose who he wants to see or stand next to. He can have them tested at any point. Like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
You kidding me? So he's gonna put these, and they want to get, and then they're gonna get these sports guys back into it. If that's the case, if he opens it up, then that's gonna tell, because he's got some rich friends that run these sports teams that are on, that believe in him or voted for him. They're gonna open back up their league. Next thing you know, it's the same. Here we are again, doing the same thing. Just wasting time then. Then you're going to have to lock down again. Now, how much sense does that make? Can you tell me that? So you got back to work for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you got to do the same thing over again. And then you want them fighting over some stimulus bill to send people money because you made stupid decision, I would say that it would be.
I agree.
All right. Somebody
Fucking agree.
All right. Fuck, Jesus.
I do though. I'm getting kind of like seriously angry
Right?
about it.
I mean, I just think it's fucking stupid. Then I'll swear a bunch and stuff like that. Like, I'm not gonna get angry at anybody. That's not gonna. I'll leave that. You can get angry though. I like it when you get angry at people. Ah, shit. Fucking A. So, you got any positive? Anybody got any positive news for me?
Positive news, other than the the whole you can see the dolphins have taken over the
They're still out
canals
there
in Italy,
swimming.
and you can see the fish, that kind of stuff. But
So
come on.
So I want to make it clear, though, like what I said
Like,
about Trump wanting us to come back, be open by Easter again. The medical experts are telling him no. Just so you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the
They're
biggest.
telling him no. The health experts.
That one guy, he has to get up there and he says, "What am I supposed to do?"
Fauci.
Push him out of the way.
Who? Fauci.
Yeah, he like gets right up there and says,
Dude,
he
that
says
guy
things.
is smart. He's
Yeah.
smart. He's a smart human being. Very smart, intelligent, older fella. He's healthy. He runs. I read he runs like 4 or 5 miles at lunch. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Keeping healthy. I wonder how the great JFK's doing.
I wish we could get a call
Oh
in from
man,
him.
it'd be
That
great
would
to hear what he's got going on up there in the bush and see what's been going on, man. He's been out in the middle of nowhere, keeping his parents safe, I believe. I think that's where he's been. He's building his little shed, his he shed. All right. So you never found we never were able to locate the Italian doctor's video?
No.
It's all right.
I mean, yeah. I
We
might
got
look for it. Maybe if we play a song.
We'll be here tomorrow.
We'll play a song in a minute.
We'll
and
be
I'll,
here tomorrow anyways.
I'll get that
Give
one.
give you something to look forward to tune into.
We got the phone lines are open here once
Yeah.
again.
What's the number today?
607-373 heat.
Heat.
That's 4328.
4328.
And give us a call. Let us know how you're doing in this
Yeah, even if you want to call us up and tell us
situation.
we suck or something like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Hey man.
We don't care.
Yeah. We can
We
take
do
it.
suck, but you know what?
Yeah.
We
can
don't
take
suck
it.
that bad.
Yeah.
They got all these night show guys. Like that was one thing I was telling you. I was watching
Oh.
some of the late shows and these
Right.
late night comedy shows, and now they're all forced to do their thing at home. And I feel like without their big, huge production, they're lacking a little bit.
Right.
You know?
They
They're
don't have
like,
a setup like
they don't
we
even
got,
have, they
right?
got it. They're not.
just way
they're not
funnier.
ready for the podcast setup world,
Right.
and they're still trying to do the same. They're funny people, but
Right. They're
without
way
their,
funnier than we are.
yeah, without their laugh tracks and their big production and 50 people working on the stories,
Right.
then
People writing shit for them.
yeah, it's not as
Yeah.
not as super cool.
We write our own stuff,
That's right.
as you could tell.
We write no stuff.
Yeah.
But you
just
know,
fucking
we're
winging
just coming at you guys authentic. You
Coming
know,
in
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we're looking for 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
We are our real thing here is a music studio, but you know, in these times, this has been a perfect opportunity for
But we
us
cast anyways. We were
to,
just a Thursday night cast or a I don't
Yeah.
know. We switched. We used to be a Sunday, and then
and we're just
we changed like underwear.
I'm really for several years, you know, I've been trying to build up the whole radio show for this place, as well as
right.
getting more music and events here and
Remember
recording more bands.
Remember when we used to when we were younger? We do we do those little radio. I try to do those little radio things at your parents' house.
Yeah, man, we were like way ahead of the whole YouTube.
That was
thing
back in the 90s.
when we were young. It's just that
yeah.
we were told that we were stupid in a way that we couldn't just do shit like that.
Right.
But
yeah, that was
yeah,
fun.
I think that was called Seedless in the morning.
Yeah, seedless in the morning. And we were doing it at night in your
And we-
parents' front
But you
room
see, there
there
was
in
no
the band
like
practice
the whole
room.
connect, you know, social networking form of this didn't exist. So
Right.
so
We
you know,
couldn't
we were just
put it out to
recording.
anybody. Yeah.
And even you know,
do you have any of them recordings there around?
man, I imagine that we do. The big thing is that all the old recordings I used to have were recorded on a tape machine
Right.
that was on a different speed. Like it
Right.
made it so a tape would last like you know, a normal
So it would
cassette tape.
come
One
off
side
slow,
of it would
right?
end up
If we
being
put
like
it on a thing.
yeah. So if you just put it in something, it's slow. But if I found the right kind of recorder that would play it at the right speed, so kind of like a tape player with a speed adjustment. And
Right.
it can't just be like fast or slow. It would have to be like an actual adjustable speed. To
Like
get
some
it
of
to
them
the right
old
thing.
them other 4 tracks. I think we both had one. Whatever you could mess with the speed.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I think I record. I can't remember. I think the name of that machine I had was what the hell was it?
It wasn't a
man?
Tascam.
It wasn't a Tascam. I want to say it was oh man, it was at the tip of my tongue here.
Man, those were that was
But
great.
either way,
Those
I
were the
forgot.
days.
Yeah, it wasn't a Roland. Roland was the one I replaced it with.
Right.
Getting closer. But man, the board I have now is so sweet. I got a PreSonus Studio Live 32 track recorder. And yeah, it allows me to do some pretty awesome stuff,
Yeah, it's badass.
including with its own because it's all like different outputs. I can select a channel to send out to the computer and actually have an individual mix of like a band. So if you do go you want to check out some of our live music videos. We just did one the day before the end of the world on March 15th.
No tomorrow.
And we got about a 50-minute set on there with I think like 3 or 4 original tunes in there. And it's pretty good. It's all recorded live, the video and the audio, streamed directly from its own mix off the board. And it was amazing. We had some help from Nate Cole. If you're listening out there, man,
How
what's
you doing, Nate?
happening? Hope you're getting through this all right. And you know, give us a call. Let us know how you're doing.
607.
Sonic Garden Zone. Yeah. All right. So I don't know, man.
Oh, you didn't pull up a video?
Did I? Was I going to pull up a
I
video?
thought you were gonna pull up a video.
One of our videos?
Or maybe it didn't have to be a video, but I thought, or
Oh, just some music, huh?
yeah, maybe, yeah, something.
Let's see. I'm gonna pull up.
What do we
this,
got today? Freshie? You were just talking about the heat is on.
The heat is on. That's the one we
I mean, obviously it's winter, but
kind of started with.
yeah,
When the heat is on.
it's on the street.
Oh man, I got a yeah. I'm just.
What do you
spinning.
got?
I'm spinning here on the computer.
Oh, I didn't know if you had a phone call.
Oh no.
No phone call.
No phone calls.
Huh. No phone calls. Busy. Can you hear me now?
Social distancing.
Yes,
But we are beyond that.
Yeah.
We need to step beyond social distancing and move into lockdown.
What was that boat yesterday? The Princess.
I think that got its own thing on the.
It
on the
does. It's
John
got
Hopkins.
its own. It does. It's got its own goddamn category because like 17 or 18 people have died on it, and it sat for 17 days, and then they still found coronavirus on it, or people got on it and got infected. It's wild, man.
Like what? After they like cleaned it out.
Yeah, I would think that they cleaned it out, but 17 days later after they emptied it, it still had corona in it, or someone got on there and got infected. So
Crazy.
yeah, it's a hotbed. It's where a lot of that crap happened, man.
Well, and then I thought I heard something about possibly they wanted some of them cruise lines were donating those boats.
They
to
were. I heard that
hospitals,
too.
Possibly.
That's just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You put some people on there that need help and see if you can't infect them.
Yeah, I imagine those are some.
Hotbed for disease and.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Scary.
Scary. I wonder what Trump's got to say.
Trump today. What did he say last night? Jesus.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. We're entering
All right,
this
so-
sacrifice point.
So when they ask him, well, just so you know, there's 53 confirmed cases in Onondaga, New York. It's not real far away. Saratoga has 53. So so somebody will ask him a question, man, and then he does the old circle around him with a long answer about nothing, about something else, and talks about something else for about 4 or 5 minutes, circling around them, where they forget what question they actually asked him.
Yeah,
but people like me, you and
that's
I,
debate tactics, man.
right? But people like you and I, that if you see something like that, you see what the hell's going on, or you know what's going on. But the guy that asked the question's like, "What? What just happened?" Yeah, they talk you.
Well, then the other part where it's because it's such quick conversation, these little 5-minute, 2-minute clip interviews, it's up to the reporter to continue to press, and a lot of times they just let it move on because
yeah,
they're
but
like,
if they
we got
do
this other
press, they
question.
get yelled at. By him.
Oh yeah, he's the worst, man. Like
That's
yes,
a
he has to
stupid
legit.
question.
Yeah, he said, "What do you say to people that are concerned and afraid right now?"
Why
and he
would you-
said, "You're awful. You're not
yeah.
even a journalist." And it's like, dude, what the hell? And then this next one is he asked. They asked him that he specifically fired the guy that was in place in China as an American scientist that was keeping track of all these things, and he would have been the one to
and
warn
he was from
us
the CDC.
of what was going on, and he was let go. And when he was asked, why'd you let that guy go, and how do you not find yourself directly responsible for that, he looked around, he swirled around both directions, and he said, "Oh, I don't know. You'd have to ask." And you just saw like 3 people like jump to the stage to defend him.
The CDC
and say
guy
something. Yeah.
came up and said something, and he walked it back. He walked circles too. Didn't really answer the question. Talked about a bunch of other shit about how they had this set up and that set up, and it wouldn't have mattered. Or that's just it's fucked up that you put somebody else in a situation where they almost have to, where they're trying not to lie, but they don't know what to say.
I found it.
because you got to watch what you say to him. They were
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, man. I'm gonna play this.
What is it?
Let's see. It's a video on New York Times. Hopefully they
Oh,
don't
the
mind.
Italy.
This is that doctor's warning. It's a few minutes, but I just think it's
Well, let's give New York Times a shout out then. Shout out.
This is titled. If you want to watch this, it's titled "Brace Yourself: How Doctors in Italy Responded to Coronavirus."
Now, how long is this clip?
No, it's a few minutes here. Like
beautiful. I like clips. And we're off.
Not quite yet.
Oh.
I'm wondering what the. Oh man!
What happened?
It sent me to some pro-enamel.
Oh
crap.
boy, go get your teeth cleaned. Dentists are shut down for 3 weeks.
We got. Oh man, they did it again to me.
So if you're feeling any symptoms,
what's the number? Call a number, right?
Well, the number actually is 607-547-5555. That's if you're in our area, in Chenango County, Madison, and you need to talk to somebody.
You got a little bit of a freeze
and you
up
think you
on
have some symptoms, and that you might need a test, call and talk to them, and they will tell you where to go from there. Don't just show up at the hospital, please.
The hospital is dead right now. There is nobody there. It is a complete ghost town. There are no cars in the parking lot, and they are really just trying to gear up for this.
Oh.
Without what they have. I mean, they're obviously, we talked about, they're sending out. I did just see a post that one of the cloth or garment, whatever, they got all their pieces cut out for asking people to go home and sew the masks. And I don't know what level. I don't know, man. I don't know, but it seems like not going to be enough. I did watch a do-it-yourself. I think I said that yesterday. That was a how to make a respirator at home with a 2-liter bottle and a few things.
Right.
Some simple items you might be able to find around your house. Yeah, man, might have to reboot this program here.
Reboot. The old reboot.
Reboot. I finally found that video, but we'll see. Hopefully they don't yank us down for it.
Yeah.
Just put it over in the little corner, maybe.
Right. Just a little corner shot over here.
Corner shot. Dang. Listening to Sonic Gardens Radio, Mang and Neads show. Looking for 1,000 subscribers.
Yes, we are.
So if you could, help us out by no money needed. It's free to you.
Yeah.
All you need to do is hit that subscribe button, hit that bell next to there, and if so you can get the notifications when we go live. Browse through our over 100 videos. Music videos, music recorded at Sonic Gardens, Mang and Neads show, Sonic's Corner. We got Sonic Gardens Radio. There's just a lot of different stuff, and we've been doing this for a few years, but limited budget, and we've been expanding and growing ourselves to give you a better production. And now you're looking at, Mang and Neads 2.0.
Mang and Neads. Sonic Garden Radio. There's a phone number scrolling across my forehead.
I don't have any callers, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's shy.
Yeah, their
shy
phone
out
won't work.
there.
Phones don't work today.
Well, that's going to be the next step is when we lose.
Yeah, your lifeline.
But again, they're not, I guess that's clearly not going to happen.
No,
because,
not yet. Not well. If he has
gonna
anything
be
to do
back
with
to
it, it
work.
depends, man. If these numbers keep going up and shit goes up like that, then he's not gonna be able to let people go back to normal. Stock market's up. Somebody, well, not just somebody. A few people put that up, and then my mom's like, people keep putting out, right? Yeah, my mom's going off about it. Evidently, they have stocks. So. So you're listening to Sonic Garden Radio?
Still listening to Sonic Gardens Radio.
Yeah, man. Mang and Neads.
Trying to give you guys updates on the coronavirus. We just cannot express enough how important it is for everyone to stay home, stay on lockdown,
distancing.
Beyond social distancing. This is stay away from people, period. You got your people at home. You need to look out.
If you got to walk your dog by yourself. Around you. Don't fucking come in contact with somebody. You see them, stay 10 feet away, turn around, tell them hi, but bye, all in the same sentence.
Aloha.
Yes. You want to talk to them, tell them to call you. If they don't have your number, yell it to them. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
To the show. Sonic Gardens Radio. All right, I guess, shit, man, I'm just trying to play a tune here, do a little something.
How's that working out?
I'm stuck, man. I'm stuck.
He's lost in
the
translation.
Program. Yeah.
Want me to play something? I'll play something for us. Let me pull up something. I got something from you. Watch this shit.
All right.
Did you do it?
No, I'm still. You can do it. Do whatever you got.
Right, I can do it.
You can do it. You can do it. Why? So if you guys are enjoying this little show we got, we'd really like that. Subscribe. Give us a subscribe. Tell your friends. Share it.
So what were we gonna play? We wanted to hear Heat Is On? Is that what we...
Sure.
Is that what we were doing? I mean, it doesn't have to be. It could be anything you want, man. You're the boss DJ. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Heat Is On.
Listening to Sonic Gardens Radio.
All your problems get to you. You could simply dance away. All the problems in your life, and all the thoughts that occupy. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving, I keep moving. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving on. giving up on you. You could simply dance away all the thoughts that occupy can only make it justified. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving, I keep moving. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving on. Loneliness is all you feel. You could simply dance away. Just let the love into your soul. Let your body lose control. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving, I keep moving. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving on.
All right, we're back. Sonic Gardens
We are
Radio,
back.
Mang and Neads show.
Mang and Neats.
Here we are. Here
I'm
we are.
Neats. He's Mang. Crickets.
Doing it to it.
Doing it to it.
So, just continuing with our updates. What's going down? Oh man, now I got this thing hosed up too. Never gonna play the video.
Unbelievable. So you're listening.
I thought I would have enough time.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on here.
End process.
A lot going on.
Come on.
We never found the Italy update.
Well, I found it, and I was ready to play it, and then I got the machine hosed up, the board connection to the computer. And right now, it just won't stop using it. Maybe it's one of these other ones that's hosing me up. Maybe I just need a full reboot.
A full reboot.
Maybe. No, it's so messed up. All right. Well, I don't know what else then. I'll just deal with it. Moving on. So, everybody out there, be safe. hope we can continue to come down here and take care of this. Like I said, we're just going to and from, so we don't want to sound like hypocrites here. We, I'm draining my refrigerator before I even consider going to get anything else.
I took my final hurrah. Yes, that's why I went yesterday, because I know that it's getting worse, and it's getting worse down there, and I know it's coming up here. So while I was at the grocery store, I got everything that I was going to need to get me through days upon days.
Yeah, so I guess I was gonna, I need to make a list.
It depends where you're going, man, because if you have spaghetti on that list, if you have paper towels or tissue or anything like that,
I'm not worried about any of that stuff.
All
I'm
right.
really just
You don't like no pasta?
No, I mean pasta. I have
Oh, you
pasta.
have
That's like one of the
loaded?
things where it's like,
Oh,
kinda
tell me,
always
what is it?
like-
One of them things?
well, boxes of pasta are always kicking around. You know?
All right,
I don't really like run out of pasta.
all right.
I got a huge bag of rice.
Oh,
I think the key is just like those things that I go through regularly, like our,
tell me.
creamer
Oh,
for my coffee.
well, maybe it's time to go black.
I guess so. Maybe it's time to start
I found
changing
that
a lot of things.
so I like it all. I like coffee with a little bit of creamer in there sometimes. I like it black. I like it real dark, but extra fucking, like when I'm just drinking it black, I just drink it even extra dark, like bitter as all hell.
That's probably the way it would have to be.
I like it like that, man. It's great. It's got a hell of a bite, like good taste and bite to it.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, I guess we could wrap this thing up.
Oh, we're gonna wrap it up.
We probably can because
Always
we've
wrap it.
kind of filled everybody in on everything that to date here, and I
Yeah.
just back to my I just can't stress enough, man, how important it is to look out for the people most vulnerable in this situation, and I think that the no action platform is not looking out for the elderly and the sick, and history will not look favorably upon us for that decision.
All right.
So,
So
good luck, everyone out there,
What are we gonna do? Send them out with a?
with a tune.
You got it up and going?
What do I got?
I got some shit here.
Yeah, I think you can probably give them a tune.
What do you want? Another one of your tunes? I got
Yeah, I got to reboot this whole computer here.
a couple different things on here.
I don't know.
Got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, do that No Tomorrow song, man. That's always killer.
No
From
tomorrow?
The one that I just put on,
All right.
I'd say the one I put on YouTube.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. This is a song called.
It's called No Tomorrow.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Nate.
You like that?
I don't know how many people are gonna survive Corona.
He doesn't even know.
So
Manganese
live
Show,
life
thank you
like there's no tomorrow.
for watching.
99%. Sonic Gardens Radio.
Say that anger lies within you. That burns you at both ends. I never asked for all this trouble. And maybe that's why I'm depressed. Someday everything you do is gonna be for nothing. So don't you have. I'm falling down with grief and soaked up all the pain. Hit the bottom, but I'm rolling in my grave. I can't take more of this sorrow. I'm up to my ears. I know that it ain't easy to let go of all the pain you hold inside, even when it seems there's no tomorrow. You can hold the ones you love, never let your feelings lose the battle, because the fight has just begun. I know that it ain't easy to let go of all the pain you hold inside, even when it seems there's no tomorrow. You can hold the ones you love and never let your feelings lose your battle, because the fight has just begun.
We what? That was called No Tomorrow by Shaka. Our own mAng is in that band. He plays bass.